Hello everyone. First of all, just want to start out saying Happy Thanksgiving week. And then I just want to spend some time just doing kind of a brief recap of this week's sermon and just offer a little nugget from the text that we studied. So this week in church we were studying the crucifixion from the book of Mark. This fall we've been studying the life of Christ. And so it's kind of fitting over Thanksgiving week. We start the week by studying the crucifixion and we end the week by studying the resurrection. So two things that we can absolutely be thankful for. It's through these two events that the redemptive work of redeeming humanity back to Christ has been fulfilled, right? So this week, as we're studying in the text, we talked about the suffering of Jesus in the crucifixion, right? And so last week we saw how in the garden, Jesus suffered the anguish of relationships, right? He was both betrayed, left behind, and denied by the very people that he loved, that he chose to be his disciples, and he spent time ministering to and loving on and taking care of, right? And then that morning, he was crucified. So then he was mocked, he was beaten. Eventually they even drove nails through his hands and feet and put him up on the cross to suffer and die, right? And before putting him on the cross, they actually offered him wine mixed with myrrh to drink. It was a narcotic to take care of the pain, right, to dull it. And he denied it, right? He chose to suffer the full consequences of sin on our behalf, right, and to bear it completely, right? And through all of this physical pain, he never cried out. He stayed faithful all the way to the end. And then at the end, closing in, when he does finally cry out, has to do with relational pain, right? He cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Right? The one thing that, through all of this pain and anguish, the one thing that really bore down on Jesus the most was the anguish of being separated from the Father. And he did that on our behalf, right? Tim Keller talks about this. He says, to lose a spouse in death or to lose a spouse through divorce, all psychologists will tell you is the most traumatic thing that can or will happen to you. Because you see, the longer the love, the deeper the love, the greater the torment of its loss. There is no torment like the loss of love. There is nothing like the loss of love. And this loss of love, this separation from the Father, is the one thing that caused Jesus to cry out. This is the most anguishing pain that he felt on the cross. Not the nails, not being beat, but the separation of him from the Father, right? And so, first of all, it's awesome that he did that and stayed faithful. Second of all, what's really cool here is that we see in Jesus that he understands our pain, right? There's nothing we will ever go through that Jesus didn't, right? He was even, the anguish that we might feel through a loss of personal relationship that we've grown to is hard. It's the hardest thing ever. Jesus was eternally existent with the Father. So when he separated from the Father on the cross on our behalf, that we can't even fathom the depth of that pain that he felt on our behalf for us. And so not only did he do that for us because he so loved us, but he understands us, right? He understands our emotional pain, our relationship pain, and that's how much he loved us, right? So with that, I just say, acknowledge the fact that God loves you so much and God understands you. There's nothing you can ever go through that he hasn't bore as well, that he doesn't understand. All right, well, thanks for listening. And if you're in town, we'd love to see you this Sunday as we study the resurrection. So we know that he suffered and died for us because he so loved us. And then we're going to see this week that he also rose again, which empowers us to be faithful to him, empowers us to love others the way that he loved us. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.